Thank you, Bennett, and thank you all for being such a lively audience, and thank you to all our speakers and contributors for making it an interesting day. As Bennett said, it hasn't been a very conclusive day, but one wouldn't necessarily have expected that given the complexity of the issues involved and the way in which they persist in our education system. It's quite timely having this conference today. This morning, the Financial Times published details of the Davis review of female participation in big company boards, and I think the UK was 6 in terms of its ranking in relation to the number of women sitting on top company boards in the FTSE 100. Top of the list was Norway, which has 35% women on its big company board, so still quite a small proportion, and there they actually have a formal quota, so they've been gradually, as a matter of policy, ratcheting up the number. In a sense, the issue is how do we get from a situation where at GCSE, females are performing better, to 20, 30 years later, they're a minority on the board. So there's something peculiar going on in between, and we've talked about a number of potential issues. We've talked particularly about labour market signalling, but and Tim talked about the interesting narrative we had this morning of Darlene, our technology director, describing how she chose her particular career path to maximise her control of how she lived her life. But I think the sort of career signalling that would permit people at school to understand that would have to be very, very sophisticated. Indeed, I think virtually impossible to achieve. So it's a more challenging question than that. And I was very taken by Tom Benton's analogy that actually you've got if you try to relate this to, or translate this into terms of height differences, you've got about 9 months growth difference at the age of 16. So notionally, if you translate, I think I understood Tom correctly, in height terms, the girls would be sort of slightly taller than the boys. And then somehow that's all being lost later on, but also 9 months growth difference sounds quite small, but actually in terms of 11 years in school, it's about sort of 8%. So that's quite a significant difference that we're dealing with. I think also it's interesting to reflect on what is the nature of the problem. The problem tends to be expressed as girls do better at GCSE, there are fewer women in STEM and science-based subjects. That is a problem. Actually, there are a lot of them going into humanities, having very successful careers in law and other professions, and I don't think we should ignore that. It's not necessarily a bad thing that there aren't lots of women going into STEM, but the issue in a sense is that there's a potential loss of human capital if people are responding to stereotypes and being discouraged by social conditioning. So that's the issue, and in a sense the challenge for us as educators is how do we deal with that in the school system? How do we deal with it in the education system? Is it to do with the way we express subjects? Is it something to do with the pedagogy? Is it something that's specifically discipline related, something particular to do with the nature of physics or the nature of French, the nature of language instruction? Again, very interesting to hear about those IELTS results and language testing, which is not situated in national school systems and curriculum systems to the same extent, where you get a slightly different set of outcomes. So I think lots of stuff to reflect on. No sort of very firm answers, but thank you all for making it a lively debate, and I'm sure we shall all reflect on it as we travel home, and the debate will go on. Thank you.